just something like this is like that momentum for me is starting to build now. Especially with no announcement of a box set. Now, as I'm recording this might change, and I'm kind of going on social media, and usually I'll see something pop up within first couple of scrolls of any hype or excitement about it. But so far, nothing yet. But like I said, because of that, without that information or that announcement of a release date for a box set, like I said, this is building towards that excitement for me. So, starting with the acknowledgement of When Doves Cry, the release of this book, the news of the 4K edition on Blu-ray, I am excited. So let's see. It's a little small compared to the section I've got with other box sets. So I don't know. For now, I'll stack it up there in that honored stack, so it'll sit on top of Stevie Wonder, A Musical Guide to the Classic Albums. Another great book you should check out. Might be a little hard to find, but you could still probably find a copy at a decent price. So check that out. A little quick plug for that as well. But this looks good. I think this, the Purple Rain 40 years, I think that's something worth having. It's just part of your Prince archives. By all means, so check it out. Like I said, I can't wait to check it out and go deep and read and look at the pictures and reminisce, and hopefully at some point, even though I've got Purple Rain on vinyl here, I've got the 2017 deluxe edition, but hopefully there'll be a actual box set that I can just crack the book open and celebrate. So who knows? We'll see as time goes by. So let's move on to, will we get a Purple Rain box set? So again, no official announcement from Prince Estate, no official announcement from Warner Brothers or Sony, or well, Sony Legacy, and in other news, water wet. So, but hopefully there's something. About over a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now, there was an announcement for a box set for John Lennon's Mind Games album, and it's, that's an album, like the John Lennon fans are familiar with. It had a couple of hits on it, but it wasn't as big as, say, Imagine or Plastic Ono Band. And he had even a bigger single with the album that came after that. But it's still something that John Lennon fans are excited about. And that was announced 2 weeks ago, and its release is in July. So I'm like, well, granted, there's still plenty of time to announce it. Like I said, hopefully there will be one. And hopefully when that does, maybe, July, maybe August, for that, hopefully, maybe in time for the holidays, who knows? But, hopefully we'll get one. I've done a video a while back about how to do the perfect, or how to make the perfect Purple Rain box set. You can still check that out on YouTube. But like I said, that's just in general of what would make a great box set. But what would I like to see on a Purple Rain box set? Well, definitely number one, a proper remaster of the original album. I also did a video some years back comparing the infamous Paisley Park remaster that was done by Joshua Welton. He's kind of like, Prince's right arm kind of in those later years, he's kind of taking him under his wing, and kind of one of the few people in Prince's career that can boast a production credit on Prince albums, for, if not the majority, then the entirety of the album. But, he was still, like I said, up and coming. And, I kind of defended that remaster on the strength of, number one, it is not an easy science at all. Mastering, I've put stuff out and I can't even say that I've got it down pat. So, I recognize it's not an easy thing to do, and probably should have been something that huge should have been left to the more experienced mastering engineers that's in the industry. But I guess Prince trying to be totally independent, no surprise. But like in that video I mentioned that it sounds great or some songs sound great depending on the medium in which you listen to it. Like I said, there's times in the car, when it's reduced to MP3, it doesn't sound bad. If you're listening to it on CD or even streaming, yeah, there are definitely nuances that my ears have been accustomed to for decades that just get lost. I mean, there, a certain amount of bass. Some things are too high where it shouldn't be. There's some things that's too low where it shouldn't be. And where if you're living with that original vinyl, that original cassette, and again, depending on what type of system you had coming up, like I said, that deepness, like I said, listening to When Doves Cry, listening to The Beautiful Ones, those things in that Paisley Park remaster get lost. But then in the car, there's some things that still get lost with certain songs, like The Beautiful Ones. But then there's something like Computer Blue or Darling Nikki where it doesn't sound bad. It sounds pretty good, if you're just driving in the car. But I think a really proper remaster, again, if you take it to Bernie Grumman mastering, they have skilled and experienced, mastering engineers that would make it sound great, And I think an album of this importance, it deserves that level of mastering. I don't think at this stage where you have certain artists, again, if you're pointing to the Beatles, I don't know, maybe Hendrix to a certain point, where you're getting a remix, thereby creating sort of like a new master that's mixed for today's, listening habits, today's sound systems, whether you're listening to it on your little, phone device, or if you're Bluetoothing it through, your 5.1 Adobe Atmos sound system, home systems, theater systems, car systems. I don't know if we're ready for that stage, but it definitely does deserve a proper remaster. When it comes to the bonus material, again, the 2017 release was definitely lacking. It was just one disc of vault tracks, and quite a number of those tracks had nothing to do with Purple Rain. A number of those tracks weren't even recorded during the Purple Rain sessions. So what I would like to see, if you got 2-3 discs of vault tracks, everything or anything that was recorded between March 26th of 1983 and May 20, or no, I take that back, that should be April 25th of 1984. Anything recorded within that realm, was almost fair game for ending up on Purple Rain. You know, whether it was intended or, you know, even if it was something that was for Apollonia 6 album, Sheila E's album, there are songs that were recorded within that time frame and was in circulation. So just giving historical context, because we're not just talking about, in this case, just the film. We're also talking about an album. And the album is a rarity in itself. It's kind of a soundtrack album, but not really. You know, it's like, you know, it's a soundtrack album, but, you know, in comparison, you know, it's basically, you know, it's Prince's, whatever you want to call it. It's his Thriller. It's his, maybe not quite Sergeant Pepper. It could be like his Rubber Soul Revolver. You know, it's part of that canon. And we don't always listen to it as part of the film all the time. So it's kind of unique in that respect. But given that this was music for film, and the film, you know, had been completed, and, you know, you're about a month away from the release of the first single, that means, you know, the album's pretty much done, it's sequenced, it's ready to go. In fact, it was, you know, a few months later, it was released in July. So I would say that cutoff being April 25th, because the last song recorded was for this album. You know, which you see in the scene with Morris Day and Apollonia, the song Possessed. So that was like the last thing recorded for the film. So having that range, so in this case with Dance Electric, which was on the 2017 sort of expanded edition, had nothing to do with Purple Rain, wasn't even recorded during Purple Rain. You know, bump that to an Around the World in a Day box set, or some kind of special compilation if you want to commemorate, you know, do a compilation of 1984, 85 sessions, included for something like that, but kind of just leave that off of Purple Rain. You know, include any Prince originals, like with the Originals project, we had like vocal versions of Jungle Love from Prince, vocal version of Glamorous Life. You know, include those as well. You know, whether it's the Glamorous Life, Apollonia 6, or The Time. Any original Prince vocals, include those, plus the extended version of 17 Days, which there was this sort of unofficial leak, or something in circulation, that I haven't had well, I've heard it for the first time, put it that way, and I think it's great. You know, I have to go back and listen to it again, but yeah, definitely include that in the box set. You have to include it in the box set. Make it official. The next thing I would like to see would be associated artist vault tracks. So there are studio versions of Jungle Love and the Bird, whereas the tracks included on the Times Ice Cream Castles are taken from First Avenue performance done in 1983. So, but having those studio versions, especially of the Bird, if you haven't had a chance to seek that out, you know, if somebody in your circle has a nice collection, let them share that with you. But man, that's all Prince. It's Morris on vocals, but it's all Prince. You know, drums, guitars, bass, keyboards. Amazing track. So definitely check that out. You know, maybe the original track listing from Apollonia 6 album, which included her version of Manic Monday, that's on it. Include that. So, I mean, that's what we want to see, especially something of the importance of a 40th anniversary of Purple Rain. You know, the 2017 release to me, that was just a quick cash grab. It's unfortunate that they had to use Purple Rain for something like that. They could have waited and come out with a comprehensive box set. But, you know, this is the 40th anniversary, so hopefully we can still get something that's comprehensive. Also, like as far as live material, the audio should be the June 7th, 1984 birthday show from First Avenue. That should be included. The Blu-ray performance should be the full performance of the August 3rd, 1983. It was benefit for Minneapolis Dance, Dance Company, Dance Theater. But Prince did a fundraiser, and that's the historic concert where Baby I'm a Star, I Would Die for You, and Purple Rain debuted for the first time. In fact, those recordings were used as the basis for the actual tracks on the Purple Rain album. I was given some, some overdubs here and there, especially Purple Rain with the addition of, the strings, with the violins and the cellos and everything. But minus those overdubs, what you hear on that benefit show is the raw, uncut versions of those songs, especially Purple Rain, which on this concert has an extra verse. It has an extra, like it's a third verse that's included with it. Something like that, as opposed to, depending on who you talk to, there's an Atlanta concert that was professionally filmed, kind of along the lines of the Live at Syracuse, which has had several official releases over the last few years. Depending on who you talk to, some say it's kind of redundant. Some say it's better than the Syracuse performance. But, you can kind of release that on another day. You could release that as a standalone. I think something like the First Avenue performance would work better with the Purple Rain box set. But I don't know. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And hey, thanks for checking out this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Also, Amari Music Talk is available on your favorite podcast platforms such as Apple or Spotify or Amazon Music. So be sure to check it out. Peace.